Welcome to my new video. I am, currently heading to the gym. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me, super clear or loud, but yeah, I'm heading to the gym right now. I just got done with my SOP class. It's a class I take, since I'm on probation. I failed a UA test, and they told me, like, bro, you got to take this, okay? So, got to take this class, yada, yada, yada. And, that's what I'm doing right now. So, I am taking this class. And, in the class, it teaches you a lot, about addiction, about, what addiction is, what causes you to have an addiction, and, just different things that, that I wouldn't have known before. No, that I wouldn't have known if I didn't take that class. So I'm definitely grateful, for that class and that I take that class. And so, today we talked about addiction, what it was. And the video that I watched, the definition that the guy said was, it's destructive behavior that you choose to do even though there's long-term consequences, right? So it's just destructive habits and actions, right? And and I love to hear different people's stories of how they got there, how they got to the class, what kind of conviction they got. I just love to hear it, bro. It's very interesting for me, and I can learn from those people, and vice versa. They can learn from my story. And so, yeah, I'm most definitely grateful for that class that I take. And yeah. And I want to talk about addiction in this video. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that before. But I want to talk about addiction. What causes addiction? And things of that nature. I want to talk about my story. For me, I mean, ever since I was a kid, I've been, I guess you could say, a bad kid. I do anything, and I guess that translated into, the later part of my life. But I feel like the main thing that, has caused me, or that, provoked me to get addicted to substances and, weed and this and that was, the fact that, when I was in high school, I wasn't the most confident, kid around at all. Really, I wasn't confident at all. And still I had a social life. I had friends. I was in soccer, so I loved playing soccer with my teammates. And yeah, man, my freshman and sophomore year, they were good years, and half of my junior year. But midway through my junior year, I got a lot of acne on my face, right? Really all over my face I had acne, right? And that definitely, impacted me in a negative way, I would say. I mentioned before, I wasn't a very confident kid. And, after I got the acne, like, my confidence just, if I had any, it plummeted to the negatives, right? And that affected me, right? Because every time I talk to people, I thought like, man, since I had acne, right, I thought, man, I don't want to talk to people, right, because they're gonna judge me. They're gonna judge me because I have acne, this and that. And that forced me, and that made me, isolate myself from, the friends that I had. And it made me not want to socialize, at all, really. I was just embarrassed, I guess you could say, that I had acne, even though it's a normal thing. I was embarrassed. That caused me to isolate myself from people. And the acne problem persisted for let's say up until recently, and even now I still get acne here and then. So that was in 2020. So it's been 6 years now, and 6 years of low confidence. I don't talk to people at all. Because I don't view myself in a positive way, right? So ever since that acne, I guess my mind. That's how my mind works now. That's how it functions. So, about the end of senior year, by the time I graduated, which was in 2021, my cousin brought over a pen, a little disposable. And after that, man, I got hooked. Let me tell you, I got hooked to disposables. Maybe he came to my house, he brought the disposable, and then like a month later, I started buying from my own, man. Little carts, and I started smoking every day. And to the people that have smoked carts, you know how accessible they are. You know how easy it is to smoke it. Because with weed, it's like, okay, you got to worry about smell. You got to do it in a place where people won't see you. But with carts and disposables, you don't have to worry about that as much, right? Because they do smell still, but not as much as actual, weed. But yeah, I started paying, 40 a week, 40 every 2 weeks, to get a disposable. And yeah, and plus, and I felt like at first it distracted me. It did distract me from the fact that, I didn't have friends. I wasn't socializing as much. It distracted me at first. It eased the pain, I guess you could say, but, it wasn't really helping me at all. A bunch of things accumulated, from my no confidence to, negative image of myself. Plus now, the weed, THC, some people say it relieves anxiety, but really that's what caused my anxiety, for real. So anxiety, you could say depression, negative image of yourself, it all those negative thoughts, negative emotions accumulated over the years, man. And it's hard to break it. And I start to break that cycle. I still deal with those same emotions to this day. I still suffer from like past choices, but I'm thankful for this class now, because and for probation, because now I can't smoke or drink or do anything really, and I'm grateful for that, because if I wasn't on probation, I would still be smoking, drinking, doing this and that. So probation is something I'm definitely grateful for. And yeah, man, haven't been able to recover from that as of yet. I still don't socialize, and man, it's crazy, bro. So what I would say to you guys is just, you know, if you guys start smoking, bro, smoke every once in a while. Don't do it every day. If you have a addiction, you know, try your hardest to break that cycle, man, because addictions, man, whether it be weed, alcohol, pornography, you know, you name it, cocaine, meth, bro, it may feel good, you know, at first, but then to stop, it's a pain in the ass to stop and break the cycle, man, because your brain gets used to the dopamine it gets from, you know, smoking, from snorting cocaine and this and that. And over time, bro, it gets used to it. It gets used to the dopamine that causes, and boom, now you're addicted. And it's hard to break that pattern because you're always gonna chase that dopamine, that feeling, right? And it's a pain in the ass to break that pattern. And these addictions, bro, at first they may seem harmful, but in the long run, it's like you're setting yourself up for failure, really. And this is some real stuff, bro. This is real stuff. Some people have it worse than me, so I'm thankful that I'm now, you know, recovering from my addictions. And yeah, now I'm just trying to spread the word, bro. Spread, you know, positive, you know, energy towards people that are currently facing addictions. You know, because nothing good comes out of it, really. Nothing good. Even if you say, it relieves stress, most of the time that's just your way of coping, bro. That's just you that's you lying to yourself, really, so that you continue to buy more and you can keep the cycle going. So stop lying to yourselves. Most of the time we know what's right and wrong, but we just choose to ignore it. Like, don't ignore, you know, your gut feeling, bro. If you feel something's wrong, stop it. You know, you're strong, bro. You are mentally strong. You can do anything in life. You can choose to do something and choose not to do something. So, you know, if you find yourself addicted to something, it's purely from the fact that you are choosing to do it, you know. So, and you might not know, and sorry if I get a little distracted. I'm not good at getting, you know, my points across, but yeah, really what I'm trying to do is just motivate y'all to stop and to, you know, pick up healthier habits. You know, I feel like we're being pushed to do this as a younger generation. We're being pushed to be degenerate, you know, kids, adults, whatever. So our society, you know, weakens itself, and we can be controlled by, you know, the higher ups. And now we have to reclaim our power, bro. Life is good, bro. Life is good. Like, you can live life without, you know, having to feel a certain way. Like, feeling bored is good. You don't have to be high all the time. You don't have to be drunk all the time to feel something. No. Find meaning in the little things in life, people. Find meaning in the little things, and you'll start to have a more fulfilling life after that, you know. So that's my my message to you guys, right? Just stop, you know, if you're aware that you have bad habits, you know, stop, man. And it's fine to, you know, get some help, bro. It's fine to talk to your family and friends. Like, bro, you don't have to shoulder all the stress, all the pain that, you know, you're bearing. Because also, I'm not going to talk about everybody, but I abuse substances because of stress, because of, like I said, my mental health and this and that. And that was mostly because I didn't have healthy coping habits, bro. You know, so I turned to substances, but you don't have to turn to substances, bro. You can talk to people. You can talk to your, like I said, family, friends. I'm pretty sure there's a number line you can call. Like, you don't have to shoulder all the pain yourselves, bro. You don't have to do it. You know, there's people online that are willing to take to listen to you and your problems. So don't think that you're alone in this, like, in your life. No, talk to people, get some help. Even though you may feel like it's pointless, even though you may be ashamed, but it's either you face the shame or you get stuck in that loop the rest of your life, and you live your whole life without meaning and without having, you know, accomplished anything. So please seek help. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your religion, whatever it may be. You know, do that, man. Don't turn to substances, because it may feel good at first, but in the end run, it's not worth it. You know, it's not worth it at all. So yeah, I hope you guys have a blessed day, an amazing rest of y'all's day, rest of y'all's week. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.